Act 1 of Which is the Man by Hannah Cowley. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. It having been reported that the comedy was written by a military character, a gentleman of acknowledged genius favoured the author with the following prologue, spoken by Mr. Lee Lewis, dressed as an officer.
Called forth Thalia's standard to display, and here maintain her sovereign comic sway, as chief, I'll reconnoitre well the ground, to learn what hostile lines are drawn around.
Surveys the house with a glass.
That's not a dark defile in yonder glade, for should it prove a treacherous ambuscade, no puffing miners have I here in pay, to sap their works or turn their covert way. No mercenary band who have been wont to hack and hew like pioneers in front. With flying shells our engineers shall try that well-manned battlement which towers so high.
Pointing to the upper gallery.
Beneath, our point-blank shot will surely reach, and in yon half-mooned battery make a breach.
To the second gallery.
These lovely breastworks that adorn the field, to nature's gentle summons soon must yield.
Side boxes, etc.
This advanced post the picket guard to keep, and that reserve, who are entrenched chin deep, we hope to carry by a bold exertion, at least amuse with some well-planned diversion.
To the pit.
My troops are veterans, it has been their lot to form in front of service hissing hot, who, when their ranks are galled or put to flight, are sure to rally and renew the fight, unless, and then no light dragoons scour fleeter, their powder fails for want of true saltpetre. Our plan's avowed, it is from this firm station to gain the heights of public approbation.
Dramatis Personae.
Lord Sparkle, read by Todd.
Fitzherbert, read by Joe Bergen.
Beauchamp, read by Greg Giordano.
Belville, read by Hadley Knighton.
Pendragon, read by Alan Mapstone.
Lady Bell Bloomer, read by Sonia.
Julia, read by Matea
Sophie Pendragon, read by Anna Maria.
Clarinda, read by Jenn BrodaKitty, read by Krista ZaleskiTiffany.
Tiffany, read by Irene Ellen.
Mrs. Johnson, read by Lindsay Clark.
1st Gentleman, read by Redrun.
2nd Gentleman, read by David Purdy.
A Lady, read by Sandra Schmit.
2nd Lady, read by Marie Christian. Maid, read by Marie Christian.
Servant, read by Beeswaxcandle.
Stage Directions, read by Adrian Stephens. Which is the Man? Act 1, Scene 1, a drawing room. Mrs. Johnson crosses the stage, a boy following.
Here, Betty, Dick, where are ye? Don't you see my Lord Sparkle's carriage? Oh, I shall have my lodgers disturbed with their thundering. What in the name of wonder can bring him here at this time in the morning? Here he comes, looking like a rake as he is.
Enter Lord Sparkle, yawning.
Oh, bid 'em turn. I shan't stay a moment. So, Mrs. Johnson, I pulled the string just to see how your Sylvans go on.
As usual, my lord, but bless me, how early your lordship is.
How late you mean? I have not been in bed since yesterday at 1. I am going home now to rest for an hour or two, and then to the drawing-room. But what are the two rustics about? I have not been plagued with them these 3 or 4 days.
They are now out.
I supposed that, or I should not have called. But, prithee, do they talk of returning to their native woods again?
Oh, no, sir. The young gentleman seems to have very different ideas. Miss, too, has great spirits, though she seems now and then at a loss what to do with herself.
Do with herself? Why don't you persuade her to go back to Cornwall? You should tell him what a vile place London is, full of snares and debaucheries and witchcrafts. You don't preach to 'em, Johnson.
Indeed I do, my lord, and their constant answer is, "Oh, Lord Sparkle is our friend. Lord Sparkle would take it amiss if we should go. 'Twould look like distrusting his lordship."
Oh, was ever man so hampered? 2 fools to mistake common forms and civilities for attachments.
I fear, my lord, towards the young lady something more than forms.
Never, upon my honour. I kissed her. So I did all the women in the parish. The septennial ceremony. The brother I used to drink vile port with, listen to his village stories, call his vulgarity wit, and his impudent spirit. Was not that fatigue and mortification enough? But must I be bored with them here in town?
But Miss, sir, talks of pressing invitations and letters and...
Things, of course. They had influence and got me the borough. I, in return, said she was the most charming girl in the world, that I adored her, and some few things that everybody says on such occasions and nobody thinks of.
But it appears that Miss did think.
Yes, faith, and on my writing a civil note that I should be happy to see them in town, etc., which I meant to have suspended our acquaintance till the general election, they took me at my word, and before I thought the letter had reached them, they were in my house, all joy and congratulations. I didn't choose to be encumbered with them, so placed them with you. The boy was at first amusing, but our circles have had him, and I must be rid of him.
I must say I wish I was quit of them at present, for my constant lodger, Mr. Belville, came to town last night, and he wants this drawing-room to himself. He's obliged to share it now with Mr. Pendragon and his sister.
Hey, Belville? Gad, that's lucky. There is not a fellow in town better received by the women. Throw the girl in his way, and get rid of her at once.
If you mean dishonestly, my lord, you have mistaken your person. I did not live so many years with your mother to be capable of such a thing. Ah, my lord, if my lady were living.
She would scold to little purpose, and you may spare yourself the trouble. I tell you, I care nothing about the girl. I merely want to get rid of her, and you must assist me.
Mrs. Johnson turns from him with disgust.
Mayday, the nicety of your ladyship's honour is piqued. The mistress of a lodging-house. Bien drôle.
Exit Mrs. Johnson.
But who is this hobbling upstairs? Old Cato the censor, my honourable cousin. What the devil shall I do? No avoiding him, however.
Enter Mr. Fitzherbert.
I wish I had been out of the house, Fitzherbert, before you appeared. I know I shall not escape without some abuse.
I never throw away reproof when there are no hopes of amendment. Your lordship is safe.
Am I to take that for wit?
No, for then I fear you would not understand it.
Positively. You must give me more of the felicity of your conversation. I want you to teach me some of that happy ease which you possess in your rudeness. 'Twould be to me an acquisition. I am eternally getting into the most horrid scrapes, merely by politeness and good breeding. Here are 2 persons now in this house, for instance,
who do not know that the language of what you call politeness differs from that of truth and honour. You see, I know those to whom you allude. But we only lose time. Good day, my lord.
Lose time? Why, of what value can time be to you? The greatest enemy you have, adding every day to your wrinkles and ill humour. I'll prove to you now that I have employed the last 12 hours to better purpose than you have. 9 of them you slept away. The last 3 you have been running about town, snarling and making people uneasy with themselves, while I have been fitting peacefully at Welch's, where I have won, guess what?
Half as much as you lost yesterday. 1,000 or 2 guineas, perhaps.
Guineas? Pooh! You are jesting. Guineas are as scarce with us as in the coffers of the Congress. Like them, we stake with counters and play for solid earth.
Well?
Bullion is a mercantile kind of wealth, passing through the hands of dry salters, vinegar merchants, and lord mayors. Our goddess holds a cornucopia instead of a purse, from which she pours cornfields, fruitful valleys, and rich herds. This morning she popped into my dice box a snug villa, 500 acres, arable and pastures, with the next presentation to the living of Guzzleton.
A church living in a dice box. Well, well, I suppose it will be bestowed as worthily as it was gained. Good day, my lord. Good day.
Turning from him.
Good night, Crabtree. Good night.
Going off. Enter a servant.
Tell Belleville I called to congratulate his escape from the stupid country.
Going.
My lord.
Sparkle, returning.
Sir.
I am going this morning to visit Lady Bell Bloomer. I give you this intimation that we may not risk another rencontre.
Civility designed. And for the same polite reason I inform you that I shall be there in the evening.
Exit Lord Sparkle.
Your master in bed yet? What time was he in town yesterday?
Late, sir. We should have been earlier, but we met with Mr. Harry Airbrain on the road, with his new foxhounds. Fell in with the hunt at Bagshot, broke cover, run the first burst across the heath towards Datchet. She then took right and in for Ingham, sunk the wind upon us as far as Staines, where Reynard took the road to Oxford, and we the route to town, sir.
Bowing.
Very geographical indeed, sir. Now, pray, inform your master. Oh, here we come.
Enter Belleville in a robe de chambre.
Just risen from your pillows. Are you not ashamed of this? A fox hunter, and in bed at 11.
Oh, my dear, morose, charming, quarrelsome old friend, I am ever in character. In the country I defy fatigue and hardship. Up before the lazy slut, Aurora has put on her pink-coloured gown to captivate the ploughboys. A scamper over hedge and ditch. Dead with hunger, alight at a cottage, drink milk from the hands of a brown wench, eat from a wooden platter. In town I am a fine gentleman. Have my hair exactly dressed, my clothes au dernier goût, dine on made dishes, drink burgundy, and in a word am everywhere the ton.
So much the worse, young man. To be the ton, where vice and folly are the ruling deities, proves that you must be sometimes a fool, at others a...
Pshaw! You satirists, like moles, shut your eyes to the light and grope about for the dark side of the human character. There is a great deal of good sense and good meaning in the world. As for its follies, I think folly a mighty pleasant thing. At least to play the fool gracefully requires more talents than would set up a dozen cynics.
Then half the people I know must have wonderful talents, for they have been playing the fool from 16 to 60. Apropos, I found my precious kinsman, Lord Sparkle, here.
Aye, there's an instance of the happy effects of total indifference to the sage maxims you recommend.
Happy effects, do you call them?
Well, most triumphant. Who's so much the fashion? Who's so much admired? The general favourite of the ladies, and the common object of imitation with the men? Is not Lord Sparkle the happy man who's to carry the rich and charming widow, Lady Bell Bloomer, from so many rivals? And will not you, after quarrelling with him half your life, not leave him a fine estate at the end of it?
No, I tell you, no.
Nay, his success with the widow is certain. He boasts his triumph everywhere. And as she is such a favourite of yours, everything else will follow.
No, for if she marries Sparkle, she will be no longer a favourite. Yet she receives him with a degree of distinction that sometimes makes me fear it. For we frequently see women of accomplishments and beauty, to which every heart yields homage, throw themselves into the arms of the debauched, the silly, and the vain.
Enter a servant.
Mr. Beauchamp.
Exit.
Oh, I expected him to call on you this morning. You must obtain his confidence. It will assist me in my designs. When I found myself disappointed in my hopes of his lordship, I selected Beauchamp from the younger branches of my family. But of this he knows nothing, and thinks himself under high obligations to the patronage of the peer, an error in which I wish him to continue, as it will give me an opportunity of proving them both. But here he comes. This way I can avoid him.
Exit. Enter Beauchamp.
Beauchamp! And in regimentals? Why, prithee, George, what spirit has seized thee now? When I saw thee last, thou wert devoted to the grave profession of the law, or the church, and I expected to have seen thee enveloped in wig, wrangling at the bar, or seated in a fat benefice receiving tithe pigs and poultry.
Those, Belleville, were my school designs, but the fire of youth gave me ardours of a different sort. The heroes of the Areopagus and the Forum have yielded to those of Marathon, and I feel that whilst my country is struggling amidst surrounding foes, I ought not to devote a life to learned indolence that might be gloriously hazarded in her defence.
Belleville, smiling.
I shan't give you credit now for that fine flourish. This sudden ardour for the pride, pomp, and circumstance of glorious war, I dare swear this heroic spirit springs from the whim of some fine lady, who fancied you would be a smarter fellow in a cockade and gorget than in a stiff band and periwig.
If your insinuation means that my heart has not been insensible of the charms of some fair lady, you are right. But my transformation is owing to no whim of hers. For, oh, Charles, she never yet condescended to make me the object of her thoughts.
Modest, too. Ay, you were right to give up the law. But who, pray, may this exalted fair one be, who never condescended?
I never suffer my lips to wanton with the charming sounds that form her name. I have a kind of miserly felicity in gluting on her dear idea. That would be impaired, should it be known to exist in my heart.
Who can be the nymph who has inspired so obsolete a passion? In the days of chivalry it would have been the Tun.
I will gratify you thus far. The lady has beauty, wit, and spirit, but above all, a mind. Is it possible, Charles, to love a woman without a mind?
Has she a mind for you? That's the most important question.
I dare not feed my passion with so presumptuous a hope, yet I would not extinguish it if I could, for it is not a love that tempts me into corners to wear out my days in complaints. It prompts me to use them for the most important purposes. The ardours it gives me shall be felt in the land of our enemies. They shall know how well I love.
Oh, Poe, this is the gallantry of 1101. The kind of passion that would have animated our fathers in the fields of Crécy and Poitiers. Why, no beauty of our age, man, will be won in this style. Now, suppose yourself at the opera.
Looking through his hand.
Egad, that's a fine girl. 20,000, you say? I think I'll have her. Yes, I think she'll do. I must have her. I'll call on her tomorrow and tell her so. Have you spirit and courage enough for that, my Achilles?
No, truly.
Then give up all thoughts of being received.
I have no thoughts of hazarding a reception. The pride of birth and a few hundreds for my education were the sole patrimony the imprudence of a father left me. My relation, Lord Sparkle, has procured for me a commission, generously to offer that, and a knapsack to a lady of 5,000 a year would be properly answered by a contemptuous dismission.
But suppose she should take a fancy to your knapsack?
That would reduce me to the necessity of depriving myself of a happiness I would die to obtain. For never can I submit to be quartered on a wife's fortune, whilst I have a sword to carve subsistence for myself.
That may be in the great style, but 'tis scarcely in the polite. Will you take chocolate in my dressing-room?
No, I am going to take orders at my colonel's. Where shall we meet in the evening?
Faith, 'tis impossible to tell. I commit myself to chance for the remainder of the day, and shall finish it as she directs.
Exeunt at opposite sides. Scene changes to an apartment at Clarinda's. Enter Clarinda, reading a catalogue, followed by Tiffany.
Poor Lady Squander. So Christy has her jewels and furniture at last. I must go to the sale. Mark that Dresden service and the pearls.
Gives the catalogue to the maid.
It must be a great comfort to her to see her jewels worn by her friends. Who was here last night?
Sitting down and taking some cards from the table.
I came home so late, I forgot to inquire. Mrs. Vesamy, Lady Racket, Miss Belvoir, Lord Sparkle.
Starting up.
Lord Sparkle here? Oh, heavens and earth! What possessed me to go to Lady Price's? I wish she and her concert of 3 fiddles and a flute had been playing to her kids on the Welsh mountains. Why did you persuade me to go out last night?
Dear ma'am, you seemed so low-spirited that I thought...
I missed him everywhere. At 4 places he was just gone as I came in. But what does it signify? 'Twas Lady Bell Bloomer he was seeking. I dare swear, his attachment to the relict is everywhere the subject. Hang those widows. I really believe there's something cabalistical in their names. No less than 14 young fellows of fortune have been drawn into the matrimonial noose by them since last February. 'Tis well they were threatened with imprisonment, or we should not have had an unmarried infant above 17 between Charing Cross and Portman Square.
Well, I'm sure I wish Lady Bell was married. She's always putting you out of temper.
Have I not cause? Till she broke upon the town, I was at the top of fashion. You know I was. My dress, my equipage, my furniture, and myself were the criterions of taste. But a new French chambermaid enabled her ladyship at one stroke to turn the tide against me.
I don't know what good these mademoiselles.
But Tiffany, she is to be at court today, out of mourning for the first time. I am resolved to be there. No, I won't go neither, now I think on it. If she should really outshine me, her triumph will be increased by my being witness to it. I won't go to St. James, but I'll go to her rout this evening, and, if 'tis possible, prevent Lord Sparkle's being particular to her. Perhaps that will put her in an ill humour, and then the advantage will be on my side.
Exit Clarinda.
Mercy on us! To be a chambermaid to a miss on the brink of 30 requires as good politics as being Prime Minister. Now if she should not rise from her toilette quite in looks today, or if the desertion of a lover, or the victory of a rival should happen, 10 to 1, but I shall be forced to resign, without even a pension to retire on.
Exit Tiffany. End of Act 1. Act 2 of Which is the Man by Hannah Cowley. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2, Scene 1. An elegant apartment at Lady Bell Bloomer's. Enter Julia, with papers in her hand.
What an invaluable treasure! Those dear papers that have lain within the frigid walls of a convent, insensible and uninteresting to every one around them, contain for me a world of happiness. He is in England. How little he suspects that I, too, am here.
Enter Kitty.
Mr. Fitzherbert will be here immediately, ma'am.
Mr. Fitzherbert? Very well. Has Lady Bell finished dressing yet?
No, ma'am. Mr. Crape, the hairdresser, has been with her these 3 hours, and her maid is running here and there, and Mr. John flying about to milliners and perfumers, and the new vis-a-vis at the door to carry her ladyship to court. Everything black, banished, and the liveries come home shining with silver, and the moment she's gone out, everybody will be in such a delightful hurry about the route that her ladyship is to give this evening, that they say all the world.
Prithee stop. I can't wonder if Lady Bell should be transported at dropping her weeds, for it seems to have turned the heads of the whole family.
Oh, dearie, ma'am, to be sure. For now we shall be so gay. Lady Bell has such fine spirits. And 'tis well she has. For the servants tell me their old master would have broke her heart else. They all adore her. I wish you were a little gayer, ma'am. Somehow we are so dull. 'Tis a wonder so young and so pretty a lady.
Don't run into impertinence. I have neither the taste nor talents for public life that Lady Bell Bloomer has.
Laws, ma'am, 'tis all yous. You are always at home. But Lady Bell knows that wit and fine person are not given for a fireside at home. She shines every evening in half the houses of half a dozen parishes, and the next morning we have stanzas and the bevy of beauties and sonnets and billets doux and all the fine things that fine ladies are so fond of.
I can bear your freedoms no longer. Carry these flowers with my compliments, and tell her ladyship I sent to Richmond for them, as I know her fondness for natural bouquets. And bid Harry deny me to everybody this morning, except Mr. Fitzherbert.
Exit Kitty. Enter Mr. Fitzherbert.
Happily accepted, my dear ward. But I suppose you heard my step, and threw in my name for a doucer. I can hardly believe that when you shut your doors on youth and flattery, you would open them to a cross old man who seldom entertains you with anything but your faults.
How you mistake, sir! You are the greatest flatterer I have, and your whole conduct flatters me with esteem and love. And as you do not squander these things...
Smiling.
There I must correct you. I do squander them on few objects indeed, and they are proportionably warmer. I feel attachments 50 times as strong as your good-humoured smiling people, who are everyone's humble servant and everybody's friend. Where is Lady Bell?
Yet at her toilette, I believe. My dear sir, I am every hour more grateful to you for having given me so charming a friend.
So I would have you. When you came from France, I prevailed on her ladyship to allow you her society, that you might add to the polish of elegant manners the graces of an elegant mind. Here she comes, her tongue and her heels keeping time.
Enter Lady Bell.
Aye, aye. If all the women in the world were prating young widows, love and gallantry would die away, and our men grow reasonable and discreet.
Oh, you monster! But I am in such divine spirits that nothing you say can destroy them. My sweet Julia, what a bouquet! Lady Myrtle will expire. She was so enveloped in flowers and evergreens last night that she looked like the picture of fair Rosamond in her bower. My dear Fitz, do you know we dined yesterday in Hill Street, and had the fortitude to stay till 11?
I was tired to death with the fatiguing visit.
Now I, on the contrary, came away with fresh relish for society. The persevering civility of Sir Andrew and the mawkish insipidity of his tall daughter act like olives. You can't endure them on your palate, but they heighten the gusto of your Tokay.
Then I advise your ladyship to serve up Sir Andrew and his daughter at your next entertainment.
So I would, only one can't remove 'em with the dessert. But how do you like me? Did you ever see so delightful a head? Don't you think I shall make 1,000 conquests to-day?
Doubtless, if you meet with so many fools. But pray, which of those you have already made will be the most flattered by all these gay insignia of your liberty?
Probably he whom it least concerns.
Pray tell us which is that?
Oh, heavens! To answer that requires more reflection than I have ever given the subject.
Should you build a temple to your lovers, I fancy we should find Lord Sparkle's name on the altar.
Oh, Lord Sparkle! Who can resist the gay, the elegant, the all-conquering Lord Sparkle? The most distinguished feather in the plume of fashion, without that barbarous strength of mind which gives importance to virtues or to vices. Fashionable because he's well dressed, brilliant because he is of the first clubs, and uses his borrowed wit like his borrowed gold, as though it was his own.
Why now, this man, whom you understand so well, you receive as though his tinsel was pure gold.
Ay, to be sure. Tinsel is just as well for show. The world is charitable, and accepts tinsel for gold in most cases.
But in the midst of all this sunshine for Lord Sparkle, will you not throw a ray on the spirited, modest Beauchamp?
A ray of favour for Beauchamp. Were I so inclined to make it welcome, I must change my fan for a spear, my feathers for a helmet, and stand forth a Thalestris. You know his mistress is war. But why do I trifle thus? The hour of triumph is at hand.
Of what?
The moment of triumph, Anglitze, the moment when, having shown myself at half the houses in St. George's, I am set down at St. James's, my fellows standing on each hand as I descend, the whisper flying through the crowd, "Who is she? Who is that sweet creature? One of the 4 heiresses? No, she's a foreign ambassadress." I ascend the stairs, move slowly through the rooms, drop my fan, incommode my bouquet, stay to adjust it, that the little gentry may have time to fix their admiration, again move on, enter the drawing-room, throw a flying glance round the circle, and see nothing but spite in the eyes of the women, and 1,000 nameless things in those of the men.
The very soul of giddiness.
The very soul of happiness. Can I be less? Think of a widow just emerged from her weeds for a husband to whom her father, not her heart, united her. My jointure elegant, my figure charming. Deny it if you dare. Pleasure, fortune, youth, health, all opening their stores before me, whilst innocence and conscious honour shall be my handmaids, and guide me in safety through the dangerous ordeal.
To your innocence and conscious honour add, if you have time, a little prudence, or your sentinels may be surprised asleep, and you reduced to a disgraceful capitulation.
Oh, I am mistress of my whole situation, and cannot be surprised. But heavens, I am losing a conquest every moment I stay. The loves and pleasures have prepared their rosy garlands, my triumphal car is waiting, and my proud steeds neighing to be gone. Away to victory!
Exit with great spirit.
A charming woman, Julia. She conceals a fine understanding under apparent giddiness, and a most sensible heart beneath an air of indifference.
Yes, I believe her ladyship's heart is more sensible than she allows to herself. I rally her on Lord Sparkle, but it is Mr. Beauchamp, whose name is never mentioned, but her cheeks tell such blushing truths as she'd never forgive me for observing.
Upon my word, you seem well acquainted with your friend's heart. Will you be equally frank as to your own?
Julia, in great confusion.
Sir, my heart?
Yes. Will you assist me in reading it?
To be sure, sir.
Then tell me, if amongst the painted, powdered, gilded moths whom your beauty or fortune have allured, is there one whom you would honour with your hand? Aye, take time. I would not have you precipitate.
No, sir, not one.
I depend on your truth, and on that assurance inform you that a friend of mine is arrived in town, whom I mean this morning to present to you.
As a
lover, who has my warmest wishes that he may become your husband.
Do I know the person for whom you are thus interested, sir?
You do not, but I have had long intimacy with him, and 'tis the dearest wish of my heart to see him and Julia Manners united.
I trust, sir, you will allow...
Be under no apprehensions. Much as I am interested in this union, your inclinations shall be attended to. I am now going to your lover, and shall introduce him to you this morning. Come, don't look so distressed, child, at the approach of that period which will give you dignity and character in society. The marriage state is that in which your sex evinces its importance, and where, in the interesting circle of domestic duties, a woman has room to exercise every virtue that constitutes the great and the amiable.
Exit FitzHerbert.
The moment I so much dreaded is arrived. How shall I reveal to my guardian and to Lady Bell that I am married, that I have already dared to take on me those important duties? I must not reveal it, my solemn promise to my husband. But where is he? Oh, I must write to him this moment, that I may not be left defenceless to brave the storm of offended authority and love.
Exit Julia. Scene 2. Belville's lodgings. Enter Belville, new dressed.
Let my trunks be ready, and the chaise at the door tomorrow morning by 6, for I shall dine in Dover.
Ha! Just in time, I see. You are ready plumed for flight.
True, but my flight would have been to you. Impatient to know the cause of your summoning me from the dryads and hamadryads of Berkshire, your letter reached me the very instant I was setting out for Dover, on my way to Paris.
Paris?
Yes.
Oh, stay where you are. Stay where you are. The great turnpike between Dover and Calais is a road destructive to this kingdom, and I wish there were toll gates erected on its confines to restrain with a heavy tax the number of its travellers.
I fear the tax would be more generally felt than the benefit, for it would restrain not only the folly-mongers and fashion-mongers, but the rational inquirer and the travelling connoisseur.
So much the better. So much the better. Our travelling philosophers have done more towards destroying the nerves of their country than all the politics of France. Their chief aim seems to be to establish infidelity, and to captivate us with delusive views of manners still more immoral and licentious than our own. Hey day, who's this? Oh, the Cornish lad, I suppose, whom Lord Sparkle placed here.
Yes, an odd being. He was designed by nature for a clodpole. But the notice of peer overset the little understanding he had, and so he commenced fine gentleman. He has a sister with him, who ran wild upon the commons till her father's death, but she fancies herself a wit, and satirises Bruins. Here he comes.
Enter Pendragon.
My dear fellow lodger, I'm come to... Oh, your servant, sir?
To FitzHerbert.
Is this gentleman a friend of yours?
He is.
Your hand, sir.
Passes Belville and stands between them.
If you are Mr. Belville's friend, you are my friend, and we are all friends. I soon make acquaintance.
A great happiness.
Yes, so it is, and very polite too. I have been in the great world almost 6 weeks, and I can see no difference between the great world and the little world, only that they've no ceremony. And so as that's the mark of good breeding, I tries to hit it off.
With success.
To convince you of that, I'll tell you a devilish good thing. You must know...
Excuse me now, but I am convinced you will amuse me, and desire your company at dinner. They'll give you my address below. Mr. Belville, I have business of importance.
Exit FitzHerbert and Belville.
Gad, I'm glad he asked me to visit him. He must be a lord by his want of ceremony.
Imitating.
Mr. Belville, I have business of importance. And off they go. Now in Cornwall we should have thought that damn rude. But 'tis easy. Mr. Belville, I have business of importance.
Going.
Easy, easy, easy.
Enter Sophie Pendragon,
Brother Bobby! Brother Bobby!
Pendragon, returning.
I desire, Miss Pendragon, you won't brother me at this rate, making one look as if one didn't know life. How often shall I tell you that it is the most ungenteel thing in the world for relations to brother and father and cousin one another, and all that sort of thing? I did not get the better of my shame for 3 days when you bawled out to Mrs. Dobson at Launceston concert, "Aunt, aunt, here's room between brother and I if cousin Dick will sit closer to father."
Lack-a-day, and where's the harm? What do you think one has relations given one for? To be ashamed of 'em?
I don't know what they were giving us for, but I know no young man of fashion cares for his relations.
More shame for your young men of fashion, but I assure you, Brother Bobby, I shall never give in to any such unnatural newfangled ways. As for you, since Lord Sparkle took notice of you, you are quite another thing. You used to creep into the parlour when father had company, hanging your head like a dead partridge, steal all around the room behind their backs to get at a chair, then sit down on one corner of it, tying knots in your handkerchief, and if anybody drank your health, rise up, scrape your foot so. Thank you kindly, sir.
By goals, if you...
Shaking his fist.
But now, when you enter a room, your hat is tossed carelessly on a table. You pass the company with the half bend of your body. Sling yourself into one chair, and throw your legs on another. Pray, my dear sir, do me the favour to ring. John, bring lemonade. Mrs. Plume has been driving me all morning in Hyde Park, against the wind, and the dust has made my throat mere plaster of Paris.
Hang me if I don't like myself at second hand better than I thought I should. Why, if I do it as well as you, Sophie, I shall soon be quite the thing. And now I'll give you a bit of advice. As 'tis very certain Lord Sparkle means to introduce you to the high life, 'tis fitting that you should know how to behave. And as I have been amongst them, I can tell you.
Well?
Why, first of all, if you should come into a drawing-room and find 20 or 30 people in the circle, you are not to take the least notice of anyone.
No.
No. The servant will, perhaps, get you a chair. If not, slide into the nearest. The conversation will not be interrupted by your entrance, for they'll take as little notice of you as you of them.
Pshaw!
Then be sure to be equally indifferent to the coming in of others. I saw Lady Carmine one night dying with confusion for the vulgarity and ill-breeding of her friend, who actually rose from her chair at the entrance of the Duchess of Dulcet and Lady Betty Blouse.
Be quiet, Bobby.
True, as I ain't a young man of fashion, then you must never let your discourse go beyond one word. If anybody should happen to take the trouble to entertain the company, you may throw in charming, odious, capital. Never mount to a phrase, unless to that dear delightful one of all that sort of thing. The use made of that is wonderful. All that sort of thing is an apology for want of wit. It is a substitute for argument. It will serve to the point of a story or the fate of a battle.
Well then, upon going away...
Oh, you go away as you come in. If one has a mind to give the lady of the house a nod...
Nodding.
One may, but 'tis still higher breeding to leave her with as little ceremony as I do you.
Exit Pendragon without looking at her.
I wish I could be sure it was the fashion not to mind forms. I'd go directly and visit Lord Sparkle. I could tear my eyes out to think I was abroad today when he called on Mrs. Johnson. In all the books I have read, I have never met with a lover so careless as he. Sometimes I have a mind to treat him with disdain. Then I recollect all I have read about ladies' behaviour that break their lovers' hearts. But he won't come near me. Now I have been 3 days in complying humour, but 'tis all one, still he keeps away. I'll be hanged if I don't know what he's about soon. He shan't think to bring me from the land's end to make a fool of me. Sophy Pendragon has more spirit than he thinks for.
Exit Sophie. Re-enter Fitzherbert and Belville.
A wife? Heaven's last best gift. But, no, I shan't marry yet. I've 100 little follies to act before I do so rash a thing.
But I say you shall marry. I have studied you from 18. I know your character, your faults, and your virtues, and such as you are, I have picked you out from all the blockheads and fools about you, to take a fine girl off my hands with £20,000.
Well, 'tis a bride, doubtless, but what is the lady? A coquette? Prude? Vixen?
You may make her what you will. Treat her with confidence, tenderness, and respect, and she'll be an angel. Be morose, suspicious, and neglectful, and she'll be a woman. The wife's character and conduct is a comment on that of the husband.
Anything more?
Yes, she is my ward, and the daughter of the friend of my youth. I entertain parental affection for her, and give you the highest proof of my esteem in transferring to you the care of her happiness. Refuse it if you dare.
Dare. Dear friend, I must refuse the honour you offer me.
How?
To be serious? It is not in my power to wed the lady.
I understand you. I am disappointed. I should have mentioned this subject to you before I had suffered it to make so strong a feature in my picture of future happiness.
Would you had that I might have informed you at once that I am married.
Married? Where? When? How? With whom?
Where? In France. When? About 8 months since. How? By an English clergyman. With whom? Oh, with such a one. Her beauty is of the Greek kind, which pleases the mind more than the eye, and yet to the eye nothing can be more lovely. To this charming creature add the name of Julia Manners, and you know my wife.
Julia Manners? Julia Manners, did you say?
Yes, Julia Manners. I first knew her at the house of a friend in Paris, whose daughters were in the same convent with herself. I often visited her at the grate. At length, by the assistance of Mademoiselle St. Val, prevailed upon her to give me her hand, but was immediately torn from her by summons from my uncle at Florence, whence I was dispatched to England on a ministerial affair.
Fitzherbert, aside.
So, very fine. I suppose you had the prudence to make yourself acquainted with the lady's family before you married her?
Yes, her family and fortune are elegant. She has a guardian, whose address the sweet obstinate refused to give me, that she might herself reveal the marriage, which I had reasons, however, to request her not to do till we both arrived in England.
Then you have not seen your bride in England?
Oh, no, my Julia is yet in her convent. I've been preparing for her reception in Berkshire, and have written to inform her that I would meet her at Calais, but I fear my letters have missed her, and shall therefore set out for Paris to conduct to England the woman who must give point to all my felicities.
Fitzherbert, aside.
And has Julia been capable of this, ungrateful girl? Is it thus she rewards my cares?
Your silence and resentment, my dear friend, whilst they flatter, distress me.
I am indeed offended at your marriage, but not with you. On you I had no claims.
I do not apprehend you.
Perhaps not, and at present I shall not explain myself.
Going.
If you'll leave me, adieu. I'm going to run over the town, my mind impatient for the moment which carries me to my sweet bride, feels all intermediate time a void, which any adventure may fill up.
Exit.
Spite of my displeasure, I can hardly conceal from him his happiness, yet I will. Julia must be punished. To vice and folly I am content to appear severe, but she ought not to have thought me so. I have not deserved this want of confidence, and must correct it. If I don't mistake, Pendragon is a fit instrument. I'll take him home with me. Yes, yes, my young lady, you shall have a lover. Oh, these headstrong girls.
Exit. End of Act 2. Act 3 of Which is the Man by Hannah Cowley. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3, Scene 1, Lord Sparkles. Lord Sparkle and Beauchamp discovered at a table on which are pens, paper, etc. Sparkle superbly dressed.
Poor George! And so thou wilt really be in a few days in the bosom of the Atlantic. Farewell to green fields and sweet groves, where Chloe engaged my fond heart.
Rises and comes forward.
Hey for counterscapes, wounds, and victory.
I accept your last words for my omen, and now, in the true spirit of Homer's heroes, should take my congé and depart with its influence upon me.
First, take an office which I know must charm you. You admire Lady Bell Bloomer?
Admire her? Yes, by heaven.
No heroics, dear George, no heroics. They are totally out now. Totally out both in love and war.
How, my lord?
Indifference, that's the rule. We love, hate, quarrel, and even fight without suffering our tranquillity to be incommoded. Nothing disturbs. The keenest discernment will discover nothing particular in the behavior of lovers on the point of marriage, nor in the married, whilst the articles of separation are preparing.
Disgustful apathy! What becomes of the energies of the heart in this wretched system? Does it annihilate your feelings?
Oh, no. I feel, for instance, that I must have Lady Bell Bloomer, and I feel curiosity to know her sentiments of me, of which, however, I have very little doubt. But all my art can't make her serious. She fences admirably, and keeps me at the length of her foil. To you, she will be less on her guard.
Me? You surprise me, my lord. How can I be of use in developing her ladyship's sentiments?
Why, by sifting them. When you talk of me, see if she blushes. Mention some woman as one whom I admire, and observe if she does not make some spiteful remark on her shape, complexion, or conduct. Provoke her to abuse me with violence, or to speak of me with confusion. In either case, I have her.
Your instructions are ample, my lord, but I do not feel myself equal to the embassy.
Your pardon, sir. You refuse, then, to oblige me?
I cannot refuse you. My obligations to your lordship make it impossible. But, of all mankind, I perhaps am the last you should have chosen for the purpose.
Nay, prithee, don't be ridiculous. It is the last service you can do me, and you are the only man whom I would entrust with so delicate a business.
I accept it as a proof of your lordship's confidence, and will discharge the commission faithfully.
Aside.
It will at least give me an occasion to converse with Lady Bell, and to converse with her on love. Oh, my heart, how wilt thou contain thy ardours in the trying moment?
Exit Beauchamp.
I am confirmed in my suspicions that the fellow has had the vanity to indulge a passion for Lady Bell himself. Well, so much the better. The commission I have given him will sufficiently punish him for his presumption.
Enter a servant.
Mrs. Kitty is below, my lord. Miss Manners is woman.
Ah, send her up, send her up.
Exit servant.
I had begun to give up that affair, but I think I won't neither. It will be rather a brilliant thing to have Lady Bell for a wife, and her friend for a mistress. Yes, that will be a point. I think I'll have the éclat of the thing.
Enter Kitty.
Well, Kitty, what intelligence from the land of intrigue? What says the little frost-piece, Julia?
Oh, nothing new, my lord. She's as insensible as ever. I makes orations all day long of your lordship's merit and goodness and fondness and...
Merit and goodness and fondness? And don't you give me a parenthesis to my sobriety and my neatness too. You foolish little devil, I thought you knew better. Tell her of my fashion, my extravagance, that I played deepest at Welch's, am the best dressed at the opera, and have half ruined myself by granting annuities to pretty girls. Goodness and fondness are baits to catch old prudes, not blooming misses.
What, my lord? Is spreading out your faults the way to win a fair lady?
Faults? Thine is chambermaid's morality, with a vengeance. What, have all my past lessons been thrown away upon thee, innocence? Have I not told thee that the governing passion of the female mind is the rage of being envied? The most generous of them would like to break the hearts of half a dozen of their friends by the preference given to themselves. Go home again, good Kitty, and con your lesson afresh. If you can pick up any stories of extravagance and gallantry, affix my name to 'em, and repeat 'em to your mistress.
Then she'll tell him to Lady Bell, perhaps, for a warning.
For a warning, quotha. My devoirs to Lady Bell are of a different kind, and we understand each other. I address her for a wife, because she's the fashion, and I address Julia for a mistress, because 'tis the fashion to have mistresses from higher orders than seamstresses and mantua-makers.
And is that your only reason, my lord, for bribing me so high?
Not absolutely. I have a pique against her guardian, who, though he has the honour to be related to me, will not suffer me to draw on his banker for a single guinea. His estates, indeed, he can't deprive me of, so as it can do no harm, I'll have the éclat of affronting him with spirit.
Oh, Gemini! I am glad to hear that. I'd do anything to plague Mr. Fitzherbert, and can go on now with a safe conscience. He had like to have lost me my place once, because he thought I was flighty. But I'll be up with him now.
Enter servant.
Mr. Belville.
Exit. Enter Belville.
My dear Belville.
Apart.
Go, Kitty, into that room. I'll speak to you presently.
Exit Kitty.
Welcome once more to the region of business and pleasure.
I thank you, but pray, my lord, don't dismiss the lady.
The lady? That lady, sir, is a lady's gentlewoman, an't please ye. I suppose you have heard that I'm going to marry Lady Bell Bloomer. We are the two most fashionable people in town, and in course must come together.
A clear deduction.
Now, she has a friend, whom I mean at the same time to take for a mistress. Won't that be a stroke, eh?
Decidedly. Your life is made up of strokes. Everything with you, my lord, is a hit.
True, true. I detest a regular mechanical mode of doing things. Men of sense have one way of getting through life. Men of genius, another.
Well, doubtless, and the advantage lies with the men of genius, for to their genius all faults are imputed. Nay, their faults are considered to be the graceful meanderings of a mind too ethereal to be confined to the rules of common sense and decorum. A mighty easy way of building reputation. You are dressed with infinite malice today, my lord.
Malice? Not at all. The women nowadays are neither caught by finery or person. I am dressed for court. I was going to Westminster, but I hear there is to be a presentation of Misses to-day, and I would not for the world lose the dear creatures' blushes on their first appearance. For faith, most of them will never blush again. Will you go?
'Tis too late to dress. Besides, I've devoted this day to adventure. I'm rambling through the town, discovering what new stars have appeared in the galaxy of beauty during my absence, and a dangerous progress it is. The rays of a pair of black eyes from a chariot in Pall Mall would have annihilated me, had not at the same instant two beautiful blue ones from a window given a fillip to my sinking spirits. A fine-turned ankle, whose polish shone through its neat silk stockings, encountered me in St. James's Street. But I was luckily relieved by a little rosy mouth that betrayed with a deceitful smile teeth most murderously white. A Galatea darted by me on the right, whilst a Helen swam by me on the left. In short, from such sweet besieges nothing could have preserved me but the sweeter charms of a beloved, though absent fair one.
Sighing.
Now, I never trouble my head about absentees. I love beauty as much as any man, but it must be all in the present tense. Shall I let you down anywhere? I must go.
No, but I see your writing things are here. If you'll permit me, I'll pen a short note to Beauchamp on business I'd forgot this morning and dispatch it to a chairman.
To be sure. I penned a note 10 minutes since to my steward to raise the poor devil's rents. Upon my soul, I pity him. But how can it be otherwise, whilst one is obliged to wear 50 acres in a suit, and the produce of a whole farm in a pair of buckles? Adieu.
Exit, singing. Whilst Sparkle is speaking, Belville seats himself and begins to write. Belville, writing.
Good morning. My compliments to the lady's blushes.
Enter Kitty, passes Belville in the front of the stage.
So, his lordship has forgot me. I must go after him.
Belville, coming forward.
Ha! That's the confidant. So, pretty one, whose chattels are you?
My mistress's, sir.
And who is your mistress?
A lady, sir.
And her name?
That of her father, I take it.
Upon my word, your lady has a very brilliant servant. Is she as clever as you are?
Why, not quite, I think, or she would not keep me to eclipse her.
Bravo. I wish I knew her. Will you tell me her name?
Can you spell?
Yes.
Why then, you'll find it in the 24 letters.
Going. Belville, catching her.
Nay, by heaven, you have raised my curiosity.
Oh, what signifies asking me? You know well enough who she is. I heard you and Lord Sparkle talking about her. Let me go, for I am going to carry a message to Mr. FitzHerbert.
Mr. FitzHerbert?
I, her guardian.
Her guardian? What, Mr. FitzHerbert of Cambridgeshire?
Yes, and if you want to know more, he's the crossest old wretch that ever breathed. You'll find him out by that description, and so, your servant.
Exit Kitty.
FitzHerbert's ward? And this creature her servant? And Lord Sparkle plotting to get her for a mistress? I am astonished. The very lady he this morning offered me for my bride. I must find FitzHerbert immediately. Lord Sparkle will perhaps think me guilty of a breach of honour. The imputation I must incur, that I may not be really guilty of a breach of humanity and of gratitude.
Exit Belville. Scene 2. Lady Bell Bloomers. Enter FitzHerbert, followed by a servant.
Tell Miss Manners I am here.
Exit servant.
I cannot perhaps be seriously angry with Julia, but I must take some revenge on her disobedience before I acquaint her with the felicity that attends her. Come in, young Cornish, pray.
Enter Pendragon.
What? Does the lady live in this fine house?
Yes, but pray observe that I don't engage she will be smitten with you. I can go no further than to introduce you. The rest must depend on the brilliancy of your manners.
Oh, leave me alone for that. I knew how 'twould be if once I showed myself in Lunnon. If she has a long purse, I'll whisk her down to Cornwall, jockey Lord Sparkle, and have the borough myself.
A man of spirit, I see.
Oh, as to my spirit, nobody ever doubted that. I have beat our exciseman and gone to law with the parson, and to show that I did not leave my spirit in the country, since I came to London, I have fined a hackney coachman for abuse.
Very commendable. But here comes the lady.
Enter Julia.
Mr. Pendragon, this is my ward, who, I am sure, will give your addresses all the encouragement I wish them.
Servant, ma'am.
Aside.
She looks plaguey glum.
Julia, aside.
I can scarcely support myself.
Pray, my dear, speak to Mr. Pendragon. You seem greatly confused.
Oh, sir, I understand it. Young ladies will look confused and embarrassed and all that sort of thing on these occasions, but we men of the world are up to all that.
Julia, aside.
Heavens! Is it to such a being I should have been sacrificed?
I see your ward is one of the modest, diffident ones. I am surprised at that. Bred in high life?
Oh, now and then. You find a person of that caste in the best company, but they soon get over it.
Yes, formerly I used to blush and be modest and all that sort of thing. But if anyone ever catches me modest again, I'll give 'em my estate for a pilchard.
Then it seems impossible.
To Fitzherbert.
Pardon me, sir, that a union can take place between you and me, for I place modesty among the elegancies of manners, and I think it absolutely necessary to the character of a gentleman.
Fitzherbert, aside.
Well done, Julia. Fie upon you to treat my friend with such asperity.
Oh, leave her to me, sir. She's ignorant, but I shall teach her. There are 3 things, miss, only necessary to the character of a gentleman: good air, good assurance, and good teeth.
Grinning. Julia to Fitzherbert.
Doesn't his list want good manners, sir?
Oh, no, ma'am. If you had said good taste, it would have been nearer the thing. But even that is unnecessary. A gentleman's friends can furnish his house and choose his books and his pictures, and he can learn to criticise them by heart. Nothing is so easy as to criticise. People do it continually.
You see, Mr. Pendragon has information, Julia. I leave you a few moments that he may unfold himself to advantage. And remember, if you refuse the man I design for your husband, you lose me.
To Pendragon.
Keep it up with spirit. I'll wait for you below. Now shall impertinence and disobedience correct each other.
Exit Fitzherbert. Pendragon, aside.
Now to strike her with my superior ease. So, miss, your guardian, I think, has a mind that we shall, in the vulgar speech, marry.
Well, sir, but are you not frightened at your approach to such a state? Do you know what belongs to the character of a husband?
What belongs to it? Aye. Do you know what belongs to being a wife?
Yes. I guess that to your wife will belong ill humour with you at home, shame with you abroad, in her face forced smiles, in her heart hidden thorns.
The devil! What, you have found your tongue, ma'am? Oh, I shall have a fine time on, I guess, when our connection begins.
Our connection! Pray, sir, drop the idea. I protest to you that were it possible for me to become your wife, I should be the most wretched of women.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. I hardly know a wife who is not wretched.
Unfeeling man! Would you presume to enter into a state to the happiness of which union of soul, delicacy of sentiment, and all the elegant attention of polished manners are necessary and indispensable?
What's all that? Union of soul, sentiment, attentions? That's not life, I'm sure.
I am not able to conceive by what witchcraft Mr. Fitzherbert has been blinded to the weakness of your head and the turpitude of your heart. Tell him, sir, there is not a fate I would not prefer to that of being united to a man whose whole vice is the effect of folly, and whole folly is as hateful even as his vice.
Exit Julia.
Yes, I'll tell, depend on't. Egad, she's a spirit. So much the better. More pleasure in taming her. A meek wife cheats a man of his rights, and deprives him of the pleasure of exacting her obedience. Let me see. Vice, folly, impudence, ignorance too.
Exit Pendragon. Re-enter Julia.
What have I done? I dare not now see my guardian. His displeasure will kill me. Oh, Belville, where art thou? Come and shield thy unhappy bride. What steps can I take?
Enter Kitty.
Dear ma'am, I'm so grieved to see you so unhappy. If I had such a cross old guardian, I'd run away from him.
The very thought which that instant presented itself to my mind. Have you not told me that some relation of yours has lodgings?
Yes, ma'am. The most elegantest in London.
I don't want elegant apartments, but I wish for a short time to be concealed in some family of reputation.
To be sure, ma'am, 'tis the most prudent thing you can do.
And yet my heart fails me.
Oh, ma'am, don't hesitate. I'll go and pack up a few things and call a coach and be off, before Lady Bell comes from court.
I fear 'tis a wrong step, and yet what other can I take? I dare not reveal my marriage without the permission of my husband. Until his arrival I must avoid both a guardian's anger and the addresses of a lover.
Aside.
The honour of Belleville would be insulted should I permit them to be repeated.
Exit Julia.
I know not what she means, but there is some mystery, I find. So there should be. If ladies had not mysteries, a chambermaid's place would be hardly worth keeping. I have mysteries too, and she shall have their explanation from Lord Sparkle.
Exit. Scene 3. Clarinda's house. Enter Lady Bell meeting Clarinda.
My dear creature, what an embarras! Driving swiftly through the streets, Lady Whipcord dashed upon us in her flaming phaeton and fix, gave a monstrous big new market word to my poor fellows, and with infinite dexterity entangled the traces. It happened near your door, so I have taken shelter with you, and left her ladyship to settle the dispute with my coachman. But why were you not at court to-day?
I had a teasing headache, but pray, tell me what happened there.
Aside.
Deuce take her, she looks as well as ever.
Oh, the ladies, as usual, brilliant. Nothing so flat as the men. The horrid English custom ruins them for conversation. They make themselves members of clubs in the way of business, and members of Parliament in the way of amusement. All their passions are reserved for the first, and all their wit for the last.
'Tis better in Paris.
Oh, 'tis quite another thing. Whilst we awkwardly copy the follies of the Parisians, we absurdly omit the charming part of their character. Devoted to elegance, they catch their opinions, their wit, and their bon mots from the mouths of the ladies. 'Tis in the drawing-room of Madame the Duchess the Marquis learns the politics, whilst the sprightly countess dispenses taste and philosophy to a circle of bishops, generals, and abbés.
All that may be just, yet I am mistaken if you have not found one Englishman to reconcile you to manners of the rest. Lord Sparkle, for instance. Your ladyship thinks, I'm sure, that he has wit at will.
Oh, yes, quite at will. His wit, like his essence bottle, is a collection of all that is poignant in 1,000 flowers, and, like that, is most useful when he himself is most insipidly vacant.
With such sentiments, I wonder you can suffer his addresses.
What can I do? The man is so much the fashion, and I shall be so much envied. Why, you know, my dear, for instance, you'd be inclined to stick a poisoned nosegay in my bosom if I should take him.
Ridiculous! Believe me, madam, I shall neither prepare a bouquet nor invoke a fiery shower to grace your nuptials.
Lady Bell aside.
No, your showers would be tears, I fancy. Here he comes.
Ha! Lord Sparkle!
Sneering.
Your ladyship's accident was fortunate.
Enter Lord Sparkle.
Heavens, Lady Bell! Your horses fly like the doves of Venus. I followed you from St. James's, but my poor earthbound cattle wouldn't keep pace with yours.
Oh, don't complain. If her ladyship won the race, you see she stopped for you at the goal.
Charming, Miss Belmore. What an enlivening intimation. Where was your ladyship on Thursday? You would have found excellent food for your satire at Mrs. Olio's. We had all the law ladies from Lincoln's Inn, a dozen gold velvets from Bishopsgate, with the wives and daughters of half the M.D.s and LL.D.s in town.
Oh, my entertainment was quite as good as yours. We were in Brook Street at Lady Laurel's, and found her surrounded by her literati of all denominations. We had Masters of Art and Misses of Science. On one hand an essayist, on the other a moralist, there a poetaster, here a translator. In that corner a philosopher, and in the other a compiler of magazines. Tropes, epigrams, and syllogisms flew like skyrockets in every direction, till the ambition of pre-eminence lighted the flame of controversy, when they gave each other the lie literary with infinite spirit and decorum.
Excellent! I'll repeat every word in a place where it will be remembered and the satire enjoyed.
In that hope, your lordship may safely knock at every door in the street. Satire is welcome everywhere.
Yes, if it will bear a laugh. That's the grand art of conversation. They pretend we are fond of slander, but rob scandal of its laugh, and would soon be banished to the second table for the amusement of butlers and chambermaids.
Indeed? Then I believe half our acquaintance would go downstairs to the second table too. They think their servants had the best of the dish.
Enter a servant, gives Lord Sparkle a letter, and exit. Sparkle reads it aside.
Julia, astonishing. So sudden in your movements, Mrs. Kitty?
Returning to the ladies.
This vulgar thing called business is the greatest evil in life. It destroys our most brilliant hours, and is fit only for younger brothers and humble cousins. Miss Belmore, I must tear myself away. Shall I attend your ladyship to your carriage?
If you please. Miss Belmore, I must tear myself away, but you will shine upon us at night.
Exeunt Lord Sparkle and Lady Bell.
Shine upon you at night! That I know you are insolent enough to believe impossible. What can I think of her sentiments for Lord Sparkle? Sometimes I believe 'tis a mere attachment to vanity on both sides. That reserved creature Beauchamp is in his confidence. But he leaves town this very day, and I shall have no opportunity of conversing with him.
Muses.
There is but one chance, going to visit him. But how can I possibly do that? Deuce take him! If he had a library, one might go to look at his books. Well, I don't care. Go I will. And if I can't invent an excuse, I'll put on a good face upon the matter and go without one.
Going.
I should expire if my visit should be discovered. I must risk everything. To be bold is sometimes to be right.
Exit. End of Act 3. Act 4 of Which is the Man by Hannah Cowley. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 4, Scene 1. An apartment at Lady Bell's. Enter Lady Bell, followed by her maid.
Miss Manners gone out in a hackney coach and no message left?
No, madame.
Very strange.
Mr. Beauchamp has been waiting almost an hour for your ladyship's return.
Mr. Beauchamp? Here, go and put some otto of roses in that handkerchief.
Exit maid.
Now shall I admit him or not? This formal waiting looks very like formal business. Phew, I hate that. I suppose he has at length vanquished his modesty, and is come to tell me that... Well, I vow I won't hear him. Yes, I will. I long to know the style in which these reserved men make love. To what imprudence would my heart betray me? Yet I may surely indulge myself in hearing him speak of love, in hearing, probably for the first time, its genuine language.
Enter maid and presents the handkerchief.
Tell Mr. Beauchamp I am here.
Exit maid.
Now how shall I receive him? It will be intolerable to be formal.
Takes her fan from her pocket and traverses the stage, humming a tune. Enter Beauchamp.
Oh, Mr. Beauchamp, this is the luckiest thing. I have had 10 disputes today about the figures in my fan, and you shall decide them. Is that beautiful nymph a flying Daphne or an Atalanta?
Beauchamp, looking at her fan.
From the terror of the eye, madam, and the swiftness of her step, it must be a Daphne. I think Atalanta's head would be more at variance with her feet, and whilst she flies, her eye would be invitingly turned on her pursuers.
I think you are right. Yes, that does want the kind, inviting glance, to be sure.
What a misfortune to a lover! I know one to whom your ladyship appears the disdainful Daphne. How happy could he behold in your eye the encouragement of Atalanta's.
Lady Bell, aside.
Mercy, for so bashful a man, that's pretty plain.
This is probably the last visit I can make you before I leave England. Will your ladyship permit me, before I leave it, to acquaint you that there is a man whose happiness depends on your favour?
Lady Bell, aside.
So now he's going to be perplexing again.
Looking on her fan.
A man whose happiness depends on me, Mr. Beauchamp?
Yes, madam, and...
Aside.
I cannot go on. Why did I accept a commission in which success would destroy me?
Lady Bell, aside.
How evidently this is the first time he ever made love. The man seems to have chosen a very diffident advocate in you, sir.
'Tis more than diffidence, madam. My task is painful.
Aye, I thought so. You have taken a brief in a cause you don't like. I could plead it better myself.
I feel the reproach.
'Tis difficult for you, perhaps, to speak in the third person. Try it in the first. Suppose now, only suppose, I say, for the jest's sake, that you yourself have a passion for me, and then try how you can plead it.
Beauchamp, kneeling.
Thus would I plead it, and swear that thou art dear to my heart as fame and honour. To look at thee is rapture, to love thee, though without hope, felicity.
Lady Bell, aside.
Oh, I thought I should bring him to the point at last.
Beauchamp, rising aside.
To what dishonesty have I been betrayed? Thus, madam, speaks my friend, through my lips. 'Tis thus he pleads his passion.
Lady Bell, aside.
Provoking. What friend is this, sir, who is weak enough to use the language of another to explain his heart?
Lord Sparkle.
Lord Sparkle? Was it for him you knelt?
He bows to her.
Then, sir, I must inform you that the liberty you have taken—
Aside.
Heavens, how do I betray myself? Tell me, sir, on your honour, do you wish to succeed in pleading the passion of Lord Sparkle?
Beauchamp, hesitating.
My obligations to his lordship, our relationship, the confidence he has reposed in me.
Stop, sir. I too will repose confidence in you, and confess that there is a man whom I sometimes suspect not to be indifferent to me, but 'tis not Lord Sparkle. Tell him so, and tell him tell him what you will.
Beauchamp, aside.
Heavens! What does she mean? What language is this her eye speaks?
Do you visit me this evening? Here will be many of my friends, and you shall then see me in the presence of the man my heart prefers.
Beauchamp bows and goes to the door, then returns, advances towards Lady Bell, makes an effort to speak, finds it impossible, then bows and exit.
Heavens! What necessity have lovers for words? What persuasion in that bashful irresolution? Now shall I let him quit England or not? What, give up a coronet and Lord Sparkle for a cockade and Beauchamp? Preposterous, says vanity. But what says love? I don't exactly know, but I'll examine their separate claims and settle them with all the casuistry of 24.
Exit. Scene 2. Lord Sparkle's house. Enter Julia and Kitty.
I'm so agitated with this rash step that I can hardly breathe.
Throwing herself into a chair.
Why did you confirm me in my imprudent resolution?
Imprudent? I'm sure, ma'am, 'tis very prudent and very right that a young lady like you should not be snubbed, and have her inclination thwarted by an ill-natured, positive old guardian.
Julia, looking round.
What apartments! And the hall we came through had an air much beyond a lodging-house. 'Tis all too fine for my purpose. I want to be private.
Oh, dear ma'am, you may be as private here as you please.
A rapping at the door.
There's my cousin come home, I dare say. I'll send her to you, and then you may settle terms.
Exit.
I feel I have done wrong, and yet I am so distracted I know not how I could have done otherwise.
Enter Lord Sparkle.
Heavens, Lord Sparkle here?
Yes, my lovely Julia, here I am. And upon my soul, if you knew the engagements I have broke for the happiness, you would be gratified.
Gratified? I am astonished, equally astonished at your being here and at your strange address.
Astonished at my being here? Why, to be sure, it is not usual to find a man of fashion in his own house. But when I heard that you were in my house, how could I do less than fly home?
Home? Your own house? What can all this mean?
Mean? Love, gallantry, joy, and ever new delights.
Oh, I am betrayed! Where is my wicked servant?
Pah, never think of her. Why all this flutter, my sweet girl? You have only changed guardians, and you shall find that being ward to a young man of fashion and spirit is a very different thing from—
Oh, heavens, what will become of me?
Nay, this is quite ridiculous after having fled to my protection. I feel myself highly honoured by your confidence. and will take care to deserve it.
Why do I remain here an instant?
Going towards the door. Sparkle holding her.
This is downright rudeness. But you young ladies are so fickle in your resolutions. But be assured, after having chosen my house for your asylum, I shall not be so impolite as to suffer you to seek another.
Oh, wretched artifice! You know, sir, that your house and you I would have fled from to the farthest corner of—
Enter Beauchamp.
Oh, Mr. Beauchamp, save me! I have been basely betrayed.
Betrayed? Miss Manners? Yes, madam. I will protect you at every hazard.
Come, none of your antique virtues, George, pray. This is a piece of badinage of the 18th century, and you can't possibly understand it. Miss Manners chose to pay me a visit, and I desire you'll leave us.
My lord, how dare you thus trifle with a woman's honour?
Be not alarmed, madam. I will defend you.
Sparkle taking him aside.
Pooh, prithee, George, be discreet. This is all female artifice. You popped upon us, and this is a salver for her reputation.
Pardon me, my lord. In believing you, in opposition to the evidence of this young lady's terrors, I may be guilty of an irremediable error.
Nay, if you are serious, sir, how dare you break in upon my privacy?
This is not a time to answer you, my lord. The business that brought me here I am indebted to. I should not else have prevented your base designs.
Base designs, Mr. Beauchamp?
Yes, Lord Sparkle. Shall I attend you home, madam?
Oh, sir, I dare not go there. I fled from Lady Bell's when I was betrayed into this inhuman man's power. Convey me to some place where I may have leisure to reflect.
And do you think, Mr. Beauchamp, I shall put up with this? Remember, sir—
Yes, my lord, that as a man it is my duty to protect endangered innocence, that as a soldier it is part of the essence of my character, and whilst I am grateful to you for the commission I have the honor to bear, I will not disgrace it in suffering myself to be intimidated by your frowns.
Exit Beauchamp, leading Julia.
So. An ancient hero in the house of a modern man of fashion. Alexander in the tent of Darius. Scipio in the fair Parthenia. The fellow has not an idea of any morals but those in use during the Olympiads.
Enter servant.
Mr. Pendragon and his sister, my lord.
Who?
Mr. and Miss Pendragon.
Then carry him to the housekeeper's room. Give him jellies and plum cake, and tell him—
Enter Pendragon, leading Sophie.
Oh, my dear Miss Pendragon, you honour me. But I am the most unlucky man on earth. I am obliged, upon business of infinite consequence, to be at Whitehall within 5 minutes.
But first, my lord, you must settle a little business here with Miss Pendragon.
I tell you, Bobby, I'll speak for myself. And as a few words are best, pray, my lord, what do you mean by treating me in this manner?
I shall be miserable beyond bearing if any treatment of mine has incurred your displeasure.
Well, now you talk of being miserable, you have softened my heart at once. But pray, my lord, is it fashionable for people on the terms you and I are to keep asunder?
Sparkle, aside.
What the devil can the girl mean?
Never even write! No billets, no bribing the maid to flip notes into my hand. Why, you don't even complain, though 'tis 5 days since you saw me.
Complain? I am sure I have been exceedingly wretched.
Then why did you not tell me so? Why, that's the very thing I wanted. If I had known you had been wretched, I should have been happy.
Well, I see I shall lose an opportunity here. I came to challenge you, my lord.
Challenge me?
Yes, Miss Pendragon told me she was dissatisfied, and says I'll demand satisfaction. And I didn't care if things had gone a little further, for to call out a lord would be a feather in my cap as long as I live. However, you are agreed.
Do be quiet, Bobby. We are not agreed. I have heard nothing of settlements yet, nothing of jewels.
My dear ma'am, you are pleased to amuse yourself.
Why, my lord, those things must all be settled beforehand, you know.
Before what?
What? Before our marriage, my lord.
Marriage?
Hey day, will you pretend that you did not intend to marry me when I can prove that you have courted me from 20 instances?
Indeed.
Aye, that she can. Instances as striking as your lordship's red heels. Come, Miss Pendragon, your proofs. I'll support 'em.
Why, in the first place, my lord, you once placed a nosegay in my bosom and said, "Oh, I wish I were these happy roses," the very speech that Sir Harry Hargrave made to Miss Woodville. Another time you said I was a most bewitching and adorable girl, exactly what Colonel Finch said to Lady Lucy Luster. Another time you said, how would a coronet become those shining trestles? The very speech Lord Rosehill to Miss Danvers. And these couples were every one married.
Married? I never heard of 'em. Who are they? Where the devil do they live?
Pendragon, strutting up to him.
Live? Why, in our county, to be sure.
No, Bobby. In the Reclaimed Rake, and the Constant Lovers, and Sir Charles Grandison, and Roderick Random, and...
Yes, sir. They live at Random, with Sir Charles Grandifont. Now do you know 'em?
Lord Sparkle, to Sophie.
You are a charming little lawyer, and might, perhaps, establish your proofs for precedence if Sir Charles Grandison was on the bench. Yet I never heard of his being made Chief Justice, though I never thought him fit for anything else.
What the devil's this? What? Did you not bring all those fine proofs of fashionable life? And are you such a fool as not to understand what we call commonplace?
Commonplace?
Yes, we persons of elegant life use the figure hyperbole.
Hyperbole? What's that?
Why, that's as much as to say a stretch.
A stretch? What then? You have been mocking me, my lord?
Not in the least. I shall be the happiest man existing to...
Aside.
Egad, I must take care of my phrases. I mean that I shall be always, and upon all occasions, your most devoted, trustful servitor. Were there ever two such bumpkins?
Exit.
What's he gone? Oh, villain, monster! I am forsaken. Oh, I am rejected. All Cornwall will know it.
Crying.
Tin mines and all. But don't ye cry, Miss Pendragon. Don't ye cry.
Sobbing.
Oh, I am rejected.
I'm glad on it with all my heart. I'll challenge him yet, and they won't know in Cornwall exactly how 'twas. They'll hear that a lord fought about ye, and all that sort of thing. And whether for ye or against ye, 'twill be much the same.
But will you challenge him? Really, Bobby?
Upon honour, I admire the claw of the thing. Egad, Sophie, I'm glad he's forsaken thee. Now my character will be finished. A man can't show his face in company till he has stood shot and fired his pistol in the air.
In the air? If you don't fire it through him.
Oh, never fear. I'll do all that sort of thing. Come along. I'll go home directly and practice at the hen coop in the yard. I'll fire through one end, and you shall hold your calash against the other. And if I don't hit it, say I'm no marksman.
Exit Pendragon with Sophie under his arm. Scene 3. Beauchamp's lodgings. Enter Beauchamp and Julia.
I entreat your pardon for conducting you to my own lodgings. But here, madam, you will be safe till you determine how to act. What are your commands for me?
Oh, Mr. Beauchamp, I have no commands. I have no designs. I have been very imprudent. I am still more unhappy.
Shall I acquaint Mr. Fitzherbert?
It was to avoid him that I left Lady Bell. I have reasons that make it impossible to see Mr. Fitzherbert now.
Is there no other friend?
Oh, yes, I have one friend. Were he here, all my difficulties would vanish. It may seem strange, Mr. Beauchamp, but I expect that you believe—
Looking at the wing.
Heavens! Here's company. 'Tis Miss Belmore, the last woman on earth whom I would trust. Where can I go?
Miss Belmore? Very odd. But pray be not uneasy. That room, madam, if you will condescend.
She rushes through the door. Enter Clarinda, laughing.
I expect your gravity to be amazingly discomposed at so hearty a visit. But I took it very ill that you did not design to call upon me before your departure. And so, as I was passing your door, I stopped in mere frolic to inquire the cause.
You do me infinite honor, madam. I am thankful that I failed in my attention, since it has procured me so distinguished a favor.
Oh, you're most obedient. You are going to leave England for a long while. You'll find us all in different situations, probably, on your return. Your friend, Lord Sparkle, for instance. I am informed that he is really to marry Lady Bell Bloomer, but I don't believe it. Do you?
'Tis impossible, madam, for me.
Impossible! Such friends as you and I are supposed to keep nothing from one another. We women cannot exist without a confidant. And I dare say you men are full as communicative. Not that it is anything to me, but as I have a prodigious regard for Lady Bell—
Belville, behind.
Beauchamp! Beauchamp!
Heaven and earth! How unlucky! Here's some man. I am the nicest creature breathing in my reputation. What will he think? I'll run into this room.
Runs toward the door. Beauchamp preventing her.
Pardon me, madam. You cannot enter there.
Clarinda pushing at the door.
I must— Oh, the door is held, sir.
My dear madam, I am infinitely sorry for the accident. But suppose, I say, ma'am, that a friend of mine has been in a duel and concealed in that room.
Ridiculous. I saw the corner of a hoop and a white satin petticoat. Is that the dress of your dueling friends? I will go in.
Struggling.
So—
Flinging away spitefully.
'Tis too late.
Enter Belville.
So, I beg your pardon. How could you be so indiscreet, Beauchamp? Although a young soldier, I thought you knew enough of generalship to be prepared for a surprise.
Oh, so he was. But not for 2 surprises. One has already happened, and a hasty retreat the consequence.
Believe me, Belville.
To Clarinda.
I am infinitely concerned.
Oh, I detest your impertinent concern. Keep it for the lady in the other room.
A lady in the other room, too? Heyday! Oh, Beauchamp, who would have suspected?
'Tis all a mistake. The lady in the next room. But prithee go.
Only tell me if you have seen Fitzherbert. I've been seeking him this hour on a business of the utmost consequence.
I have not. But about this time you'll find him at home.
Enough. Miss Belmore, pray suffer no concern. Depend on my honour. Beauchamp?
Taking him aside.
Who's this lady in the other room?
Had I meant you to have known, that room would have been unnecessary.
Belville seems still inquisitive. Beauchamp draws him towards the wing.
Now do I die to know who it can be. Indeed, 'tis necessary for my own sake. Whilst she has been hid, I have been exposed, and who knows what the creature may say. I'll try once more. She has my secret, and I'll have hers.
Forces open the door. Julia rushes out.
Belville!
Running towards him. Belville starting back.
Julia?
Miss Manners!
Oh, Belville, throw me not from you!
Astonishing.
Oh, charming! The modest Julia and the reserved Beauchamp. But, Mr. Belville, how came you of this sober party?
Speak to me!
Now, Mr. Beauchamp, you know the purpose of my visit. I had heard that Miss Manners has seen to visit you, and not being willing to trust to such a report, was resolved, if possible, to discover the truth.
Belville to Julia.
Wretched woman.
Julia to Clarinda.
Barbarous creature! Oh, hear me, I conjure you!
Hear you? No, madam. And if my contempt, my hatred, oh, you, sir, I will speak to in another place. Yet perhaps you are not acquainted that, what would I say? The word which I had pronounced with so much rapture chokes me.
To Julia.
From this moment, farewell.
Exit Belville.
What can I think of all this?
Oh, sir!
Permit me, madam, to ask if you have long known Mr. Belville.
Yes, too long.
Oh, too long. Aye, young ladies should be cautious how they form acquaintance. For my part, but you look ill, child.
Taking her by the hand.
Well, I have no hard heart. I can pity your weakness, miss. I won't upbraid you now. My coach waits. Shall I conduct you home?
Yes, to Lady Bell. To Lady Bell. I am very ill.
Adieu, Mr. Beauchamp. This has been an unlucky frolic. 'Tis amazing you grave people can be so careless.
Exit Julia and Clarinda.
An unlucky frolic indeed, and I am so thoroughly confounded that I know not what judgment to form of the adventure. I always considered Miss Manners as a pattern of delicacy and virtue, nor dare I now, spite of circumstances, think otherwise.
Enter Lord Sparkle.
So, Senor Quixote. What, so soon lost your prize? Aye, you see, quarrelling for these virtuous women is as unprofitable as the assault of the windmills. Have you seen Lady Bell in my behalf?
Lady Bell, my lord? Why, sure, 'tis impossible after your attempt on Miss Manners.
Bah! That is a stroke in my favour. Women like to receive the devoirs of those whom others of their sex have found so dangerous. What did you discover of Lady Bell's sentiment towards me?
I meant to have given the intelligence softened, but the agitations of my mind make it impracticable. I must therefore inform you in one word. Lady Bell Bloomer's choice is made, and that choice has not fallen upon your lordship.
Then I must inform you in 2 words that I am convinced you are mistaken. But your reasons, sir, your reasons.
Her ladyship furnished me with a decisive one. She acknowledged a pre-engagement, and added, if I visited her this evening, I should see her in the presence of the man her heart prefers.
Excellent! Charming ingenuity! The kindest, softest message that ever woman framed. And you, like the sheep loaden with the golden fleece, bore it, insensible of its value. You can't see through the pretty artifice?
No, really.
Why, 'tis I who am to be there by particular invitation. You'll see her in my presence, and this was her pretty mysterious way of informing me that I am the object of her choice.
Indeed.
Without a doubt. But you deep people are the dullest fellows at a hint. A man of half your parts would have seen it. But I'm satisfied, and shall go to her root in brilliant spirits. You shall come, and see my triumph confirmed. Come, you rogue, and see the lovely widow in the presence of the man her heart prefers. Poor George! You must have been cursedly stupid not to have conceived that I was the person.
Exit.
Yes, I will come. Oh, vanity! I had dared to explain. Yes, I construed the sweet confusion. Oh, I blush at my own arrogance. Lord Sparkle must be right. Well, this night decides it. Narrowly will I watch each tone and look to discover. Oh, ever blessed, he whom her heart prefers.
Exit. End of Act 4. Act 5 of Which is the Man by Hannah Cowley. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 5, Scene 1. An apartment at Lady Bell's. A table with candles. Enter Lady Bell and servant.
Are the tables placed in the outer room?
Yes, Mum. All but the Pharaoh table.
Then carry that there too. I positively will not have a table in the drawing room.
Exit servant.
Those who play don't visit me but the card tables, and where they find them is very immaterial. Let me see. For whist, Sir James Janet, Lady Ponto, Miss Lurcham, and Lady Carmine. For Pharaoh, Mrs. Evergreen, Lord Dangle, Sir Harry... Heyday!
Enter Clarinda and Julia.
Come, child, don't faint. You had more cause for terror half an hour ago.
Heavens, Julia! Where have you been?
Aye, that's a circumstance you would not have known, but for an accident. And I am very sorry it fell to my lot to make the discovery.
Lady Bell taking Julia's hand.
Speak, my love.
Miss Belmore will tell you all she knows. I am too wretched.
Nay, as to what I know very little. I can tell you what I saw, indeed. Having received intimations not quite constant to one's notions of decorum, I pretended a frolic, and called on Mr. Beauchamp, and there I found this lady concealed.
Heavens, Julia! 'Tis impossible.
Nay, she can't attempt to deny what I myself saw. Other discoveries had liked to have been made, too, but Miss Manners may explain them herself. For I see your rooms begin to fill. I shall report that your ladyship is a little indisposed, as an excuse for your not immediately appearing.
Exit Clarinda. Lady Bell with a countenance of terror.
Julia, you at Mr. Beauchamp's?
Lady Bell, though I have acted rashly, and was indeed found there, I am not the guilty creature you imagine. I am married. I will no longer conceal it.
Bursting into tears.
Married? Oh, heavens!
throws herself in a chair with her back to Julia.
I dared not reveal it to my guardian, and for that reason fled from your house.
Oh, Julia, and you are married! What a serpent have I nourished! But forgive me, you knew not, alas, I knew not myself till this moment how much.
My dearest madam, do not add to my afflictions, for indeed they are severe.
Ungenerous girl, why did you conceal from me your situation?
Good heavens! Is it destined that one imprudent step is to lose me every blessing? In the agonies of my heart I flew to your friendship, and you kill me with reproaches.
And you have killed me by your want of confidence. Oh, Julia, had you revealed to me—
I dared not, for when Mr. Belville prevailed on me to give him my hand—
Mr. Belville? Mr. Belville, say you?
Yes, it was in Paris we were married.
Lady Bell aside.
So. What a pretty mistake I made. But it was a mistake. And so my sweet Julia is married. Married in Paris. Sly thing. But how came you at Mr. Beauchamp's, my love?
In my rash flight this morning, my wicked maid betrayed me into Lord Sparkle's house. There Mr. Beauchamp snatched me from ruin and gave me a momentary asylum in his lodgings.
Did Beauchamp?
Aside.
But what is his worth and his gallantry to me? Can't he do a right thing, but my heart must triumph?
At Mr. Beauchamp's my husband found me, and found me hid with so suspicious a secrecy. Ah, here comes Mr. Fitzherbert. How can I see him?
Enter Fitzherbert.
My Julia, my dear Julia.
Oh, sir.
Come, I know all, and to relieve one cause of your distress, will tell you that the lover I shocked you with today was only my agent in the little revenge I had resolved to take for you, having married without my consent the very man for whom all my cares designed you.
Julia clasping his hands.
Is it possible?
At the moment he left Paris for Florence, you received my directions to return home. Thus Belleville's letter missed you, and he remained ignorant that you were in London.
Oh, sir, had you revealed this to me this morning, what evils should I have escaped?
My dear girl, I decreed you a little punishment, but your own rashness has occasioned you a severer portion than you deserved.
But where is the bridegroom? I long to see the necromancer whose spells can thaw the vestal's heart and light up flames in the cold region of a monastery.
Fitzherbert to Julia.
He is without, satisfied from the mouth of Beauchamp of your conduct, and impatient to fold his Julia to his heart.
Oh, sir, lead me to him. To find my husband and to be forgiven by you are felicities too great.
Exit, led by Fitzherbert.
What a discovery has Julia's marriage made to me of my own heart! I have persuaded myself it knew no passion but the desire of conquest, that it knew no motive to admiration but vanity, but the pangs of jealousy proved to me in one moment that all it scents is love.
Exit Lady Bell. An elegant apartment lighted up, card parties seen, 2 servants carrying refreshments. A lady enters from the top of the stage and comes down in a hurry.
I protest I have been 3/4 of an hour getting from the top of the street to the door. I really believe when people give routs, they think more of the bustle they occasion without doors than the company they have within.
Oh, yes, I am quite of that opinion. The noise and racket in the streets are frequently the pleasantest part of the entertainment, and to plague one's sober neighbors is delightful. My next-door friend, Mrs. Saffron, always wheels into the country on my public nights, on pretense of her delicate nerves, but the truth is, her rooms would hold but 6 card tables, and mine 13.
Well, I protest. I wish the ladies would banish cards from their assemblies, and give us something in the style of conversations.
Oh no, Sir Charles. That won't do on this side of the Alps. We have no knack at conversation. We think too much to be able to talk. Good talkers never think. Sir Harry Glare, full of bon mot, never thinks. I myself am allowed to be tolerable, yet I never think.
Oh, that I believe all your friends will allow. Hey, Day! Here comes Lord Sparkle's borough acquaintance, Mr. Pendragon.
Enter Pendragon.
Bobs, Miss Belmore, how do you do? I didn't think to see you. Mr. FitzHerbert brought me here, and I have been examining every face to see if I knew anybody. But fine ladies are so alike that one must have a long intimacy to know one's acquaintance. Red cheeks, white necks, and smiling lips crowd every room.
Hey, Jay, in natural curiosity, pray, sir, how long have you been in the world?
How long? Just 20 years last Lammas.
I don't inquire into your age. How long is it since you left your native woods? Was you ever at a rout before?
Aye, that I was last week. It beat this all to nothing. 'Twas at our neighbours the wine merchant's, at his country house at Kentish Town.
Oh, Lud, I wish I had been of your party. I should have enjoyed a Kentish Town rout.
Oh, you must have been pleased, for the rooms were so little and the company so large that everything was done with one consent. We were packed so close that if one party moved, all the rest were obliged to obey the motion.
Delightful. Well, sir.
We had all the fat widows, notable misses, and managing wives of the parish. So there was no scandal, for they were all there. At length the assembly broke up. Such clattering and squeeging down the gangway staircase, whilst the little footboy bawled from the passage, "Miss Bobbin's bonnet is ready. Mrs. Sugarplum's lanthorn waits. Mrs. Peppercorn's pattens stop the way."
Oh, you creature, come with me. I must exhibit him in the next room.
Exit Clarinda and Pendragon.
Oh, stay. Take my card. I shall have company next Wednesday, and I insist on yours. He's really amusing.
Enter Lord Sparkle from the top.
But hide your diminished heads, ye bows and witlings, for here comes Lord Sparkle.
Sparkle, speaking as he comes down.
I hope the bells won't hide theirs, for in an age where the head is so large a part of the lady, one should look about for the sex.
Well, my lord, you see I have obeyed your summons. I should not have been here, notwithstanding Lady Bell's invitation, had you not pressed it.
Nor I. I promised to meet a certain lady in the gallery at the opera tonight, and I regret that I did not, for I see her husband is here. Why did you press us so earnestly to come?
Why, faith, to have as many witnesses as I could to my glory. This night is given by Lady Bell to me. I am the hero of the fete, and expect your gratulations. Here the dear creature comes.
Lady Bell comes down from the top, addressing the company on each side.
How do you do? How do you do? You wicked creature, why did you disappoint me last night? Lady Harriet, I have not seen you this age. Oh, Lord Sparkle, I have been detained from my company by Mr. FitzHerbert, planning a scheme for your amusement.
Indeed, I did not expect that attention from him, though I acknowledge my obligations to your ladyship's politeness.
Lady Bell, aside.
That air of self-possession, I fancy, would be incommoded if you guessed at the entertainment. Have you seen Mr. Beauchamp?
For a moment. But charming Lady Bell.
taking her hand.
I shall make you expire with laughing. I really believe the poor fellow explained your message in his own favour.
Ridiculous.
Enter Beauchamp.
Ah, 'tis true. There they are, retired from the crowd, and enjoying the privacy of lovers.
See, there he is. I long to have a little badinage on the subject. Let us tease him.
Oh, nothing can be more delightful. Hither, sighing shepherd, come. Come, Beauchamp, take one lingering look. Shan't he, Lady Bell?
Doubtless, if he has your lordship's leave.
He seems astonished. Nay, it is cruel. If the poor youth has the misfortune to be stricken, you know he can't resist fate. Ixion sighed for Juno.
Yes, and he was punished too. What punishment, Mr. Beauchamp, shall we decree for you?
I am astonished. Was it for this your ladyship commanded me to attend you?
How did I command you? Do you remember the words?
I do, madam. You bid me come this evening, that I might behold you in the presence of the man your heart prefers.
Well, sir, and now you see me.
Ah, the sweet confusion of the sweet confession.
Kissing her hand. Beauchamp aside.
'Sdeath, this ostentation of felicity, madam, is ungenerous, since you know my heart. 'Tis unworthy you, but I thank you for it. I have a pang the less.
Going.
Hold, sir, are you going?
This instant, madam, I came in obedience to your commands, but my chaise is at your door, and before your gay assembly breaks up, I shall be far from London, and in a day or two from England. I probably now see your ladyship for the last time. Adieu.
Stay, Mr. Beauchamp.
Ay, prithee, stay. I believe Lady Bell has a mind to make you her conjugal father at the wedding.
I forgive you, my lord. Excess of happiness frequently overflows into insolence, and it is the privilege of felicity to be unfeeling. But how, madam, has the humble passion which has so long consumed my life rendered me so hateful to you as to prompt you to this barbarity? I have not insulted you with my love. I have scarcely dared whisper it to myself. How then have I deserved?
Oh, mercy, don't be so grave. I am not insensible to your merit, nor have I beheld your passion with disdain. But what can I do? Lord Sparkle has so much fashion, so much elegance, so much—
My dearest Lady Bell, you justify my ideas of your discernment, and thus I thank you for the distinguished honour.
Kneeling to kiss her hand. Enter Sophie from the wing, crying.
Oh, you false-hearted man!
Hey day!
Don't believe a word he says, for all you are so fine a lady. He'll tell you of happiness and misery, of this and that and the other, but 'tis all commonplace and hyperbole, and all that sort of thing.
Indeed. What, has this young lady claims on your lordship?
Claims? Surely your ladyship can answer that in a single glance. Claims? Is it my fault that a little rustic does not know the language of the day? Compliments are the ready coin of conversation, and 'tis everyone's business to understand their value.
Enter Pendragon. Pendragon clapping him on the shoulder.
True, my lord, true. And pray instruct me what was the value of the compliment when you told me I should make a figure in the Guards, and that you would speak to your great friends to make me a colonel?
Value? Of just as much as it would bring. You thought it so valuable then that you got me 100 extra votes on the strength of it. and you are now a little ungrateful wretch to pretend 'twas worth nothing.
Enter Fitzherbert leading Julia.
But here, Lord Sparkle, is a lady who claims a right on a different foundation. She had no election interest to provoke your flatteries, yet you have not scrupled to profess love to her, whilst under the roof of her friend whose hand you were soliciting in marriage.
Yes, I entreat your ladyship not to fancy that you are to break the hearts of half our sex by binding Lord Sparkle in the adamantine chains of marriage. I boast an equal right with you, and don't flatter yourself I shall resign him.
Mere malice, Lady Bell. Fitzhubert's malice. I never had a serious thought of Miss Manners in my life.
Enter Belville.
What, my lord? And you have dared talk of love to that lady without a serious thought?
A day. What right have you?
Oh, very trifling. Only the right of a husband. The lady so honoured by your love-making in jest is my wife. In course, all obligations to her devolve on me.
Your wife? My dear Belville, I give you joy with all my soul. You see, 'tis always dangerous to keep secrets from your friends. But is anybody else coming? Have I any new crimes to be accused of? Any more witnesses coming to the bar?
No, but I am witness in a new cause, and accuse you of loading the mind of my friend Beauchamp with a sense of obligation you had neither spirit nor justice to confer.
A commission, my lord, which was sent Mr. Beauchamp under a blank cover, by one who could not bear to see his noble spirit dependent on your caprices.
And when his sentiments pointed out your lordship as his benefactor, you accepted the honour, and have laid heavy taxes on his gratitude.
Well, and what is there in all that? Beauchamp did not know to whom he was obliged. And wouldn't it have been a most unchristian thing to let a good action run about the world belonging to nobody? I found it a stray orphan, and so fathered it. But you, Fitzherbert, I see are the lawful owner of the brat, so prithee take it back, and thank me for the honour of my patronage.
Your affected pleasantry, Lord Sparkle, may shield you from resentment, but it will not from contempt. Your effrontery.
Effrontery? Prithee, make distinctions. What in certain lines would be effrontery, in me is only the ease of fashion, that delightful thing which enables me at this moment to stand serene amidst your meditated storm. Come, my dear Lady Bell, let us leave these good gentry, and love ourselves amidst the delights of fashion and the charms of bon ton.
Pardon me, my lord. As caprice is absolutely necessary to the character of a fine lady, you will not be surprised if I give an instance of it now. In spite of your elegance, your fashion, and your wit, present my hand to this poor soldier, who boasts only worth, spirit, honour, and love.
Have a care, madam. Feelings like mine are not to be trifled with. Once already the hopes you have inspired.
The hour of trifling is past, and surely it cannot appear extraordinary that I prefer the internal worth of an uncorrupted heart to the outward polish of a mind too feeble to support itself against vice in the seductive forms of fashionable dissipation.
Day, what, is your ladyship in the plot?
The plot has been deeper laid than you, my lord, have been able to conceive. As I have the misfortune to be related to you, I thought it my duty to watch over your conduct. I have seen your plans, which generally tended to your confusion and disgrace, and many of them have been defeated, though you knew not by what means. But what fate does your lordship design for these young people, decoyed by you from their native ignorance and home?
Let them return to their native ignorance and home as fast as they can.
No, no, hang me if I do that. I know life now, and life I'll have. Hyde Park, plays, operas, and all that sort of thing. But, old gentleman, as you promised to do something for me, what think ye of a commission? The captain there can't want his now. Suppose you turn it over to me.
No, young man. You shall be taken care of. But the requisites of a soldier are not those of pertness and assurance. Intrepid spirit, nice honour, generosity, and understanding all unite to form him. It is these which will make a British soldier once again the first character in Europe. It is such soldiers who must make England once again invincible, and her glittering arms triumphant in every quarter of the globe.
Well, Bobby may do as he will. I'll go back to Cornwall directly, and warn all my neighbours to take special care how they trust to a lord's promises at an election again.
Well, great attempts and great failings mark the life of a man of spirit. There is a clot even in my disappointment tonight, and I am ready for a fresh set of adventures tomorrow.
Incorrigible man! But I have done with you. Beauchamp has answered all my hopes, and the discernment of this charming woman in rewarding him merits the happiness that awaits her, and that I may give the fullest sanction to her choice, I declare him heir to my estate. This, I know, is a stroke your lordship did not expect.
And was it then to you, sir, the tumults of my gratitude?
Your conduct has completely rewarded me, and in adopting you—
Oh, I protest against that. Our union would then appear a prudent, sober business, and I should lose the credit of having done a mad thing for the sake of the man my heart prefers.
To you I resign him with pleasure. His fate is in your hands.
Then he shall continue a soldier, one of those whom love and his country detain to guard her dearest last possessions.
Love and my country, yes, ye shall divide my heart. Animated by such passions, our forefathers were invincible, and if we would preserve the freedom and independence they obtained for us, we must imitate their virtues.
End of Act 5. End of Which is the Man by Hannah Cowley.